So we'll warm up and then I'll talk about setup and execution. That'll only take like, let's say 10 minutes. But now we can at least get you loose, get you feeling good. So I just did a mobility video recently. Did you guys see that one?
Yeah.
So this may sound familiar. So make sure you have enough space. And every day I wake up and I feel like I'm getting older. I'm 28. So, you know, if you're a little younger, just wait. So I try to stay as healthy as possible, but usually every morning I try to do some up dog, down dog. So it looks a little bit something like this. I'm not a yoga teacher, so pardon me. You're gonna see my positions and be like, well, that's not really a down dog. But really I'll just do it, and you guys can do this with me. I'll take a forward fold and start hearing some cracks and realize that my hamstrings are tighter than they were yesterday. And then I'll move down dog and then flow to up dog. You might hear your back crack. And really what I'm doing, so squat is always the first movement. So I'll just flow until I start to feel a little more human. And just stretch my hamstrings, stretch my back, open up my body. And this is just like really a GPP warm-up, just like a general thing that I do every morning. And if I train in the morning, I'll do this before I squat. And then we can come to plank and then start opening up our hips and do some low lunges. If you can't get into some of these positions, I'm like freakishly mobile. You can just take a knee and try to open up your hip. The guys are like, oh yeah.
I'm looking for a bar.
And we could go back and stretch our hamstrings a little more. So when we start, we're not as specific. So right now you can see we're not really doing any like specific activation. We'll get more and more specific to the movement as we get through our warm-up. So you can switch legs. Some of you guys are kind of like, yeah, we saw the video. You watched it. Just make sure you guys aren't feeling like dog shit when you're trying to show me your lifts. So yeah, just open up, and then now we'll start getting a little more specific. We did some hip openers, so like the low lunge, we'll open up your hips. Really, we want to make sure that we can get into this position. So this is, we can call it the toddler squat, or the third world squat. Ryan calls it waiting for the bus. Because he's Asian, he's from his own. So I see a lot of clients, sometimes they can't get in this position, whether it's due to hip mobility issues or ankle mobility issues. So I am in this position most of my day. That's an exaggeration, but if ever I'm like standing here, if John starts talking today, I will be here. I'll be watching your lifts here sometimes. I'm always here. So I'm just making sure that my back is tight and upright and I'm activated. And if you have some hip, you can open your hips by pushing with your elbows to your knees. So yeah, you just want to open this up. It looks like you guys are pretty solid. Everybody can get in this position.
It's hard to stay like
yeah,
around my back.
Right. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to round your back, and you don't want to be chilling here with your you want to be up. If I'm actually waiting for the bus, I'll be here. But you want to stay upright, because I'm not going to squat like this.
Yeah.
I want to squat here.
That's what I always want to do when I squat too.
We'll work on that. Yeah. We have a few hip circles here, and we can pass these along, but I like to do some more specific as we're getting closer and closer to actually squatting. We can do some leg swings and open up. So maybe we can do that when we're by the squat racks. But also, does anybody use a hip circle for some glute activation work? So what I want to do here, I have despite genetically being blessed here, I have a hard time turning on my glutes to squat. A lot of times you'll see maybe my knees cave. That's one thing that I'm working on, because I'm weak here. So it also has to do with a couple other things that I'm also working on, but that's a big thing. And so to prevent that, try and prevent it, although the internet will tell you that I'm not doing anything to fix it. If you read my comments, it's like, oh god. I'll open up and start to activate here. And you can just do a hip circle walk. You can also squat with the squat band. So when I squat with the hip circle on, I'm putting it just above my knees and I'm pushing out as I put down, pushing out in the hole. So I'm keeping this tight and trying to wake these up. And then you can also do the walk. I like to point my toes inward and maintain some tension on this hip circle. This one's a little broken in, which is nice. But I just walk out and then I'm turning this on. So yeah, those are just some pretty simple activation work. You guys can pass this around whenever we get in the gym. But now I know that warm up, you probably need to do a little bit more, but that's how I warm up. Like I said, you guys can sit down now. Like I said, the warm up will be pretty general when I walk in the gym. But then as I'm getting closer and closer, it'll get more specific to that specific thing. So obviously my bench warm up looks a lot different than that. But still every morning, I'm opening, I usually do shoulder pass-throughs and I do some down dog yoga flow. And that's just so that I'm healthy and mobile. And not so much mobile for powerlifting specifically, but just so I can walk and feel comfortable throughout my day. Yeah, we have okay, cool. So yeah, that's my warm-up. You really want to focus on just feeling good and then start to activate some things. And now we can talk about the setup. So I'm going to have my demo babe come on over. And we're going to take this barbell. This barbell is actually 300 pounds, so this is going to be really impressive. Yeah. So for our setup, yeah, get my profile. For our setup, we really want to look at these 5 things: bar placement, hand position, foot width, foot angle, elbow position. Now, this explanation is going to be great for a beginner, for a starting point. Now, for our more advanced lifters, you may notice like, oh, well, my bar position is a little bit different. What you want to make sure, no matter what your setup looks like, is consistency. So I want to know every time where my bar is placed, where my hands are placed, where my foot is, where my angle, where my elbows are. Because I'm not going to be able to make adjustments unless I have a frame of reference. So make sure that you're consistent every time. You guys paid $60 to be here. Not a crazy investment, but you're paying money to learn about powerlifting, so take it seriously. You know, treat yourself like working towards being a professional and, you know, realize that this is important to you. So the least you can do is make sure that your setup is good and make sure that you're approaching the barbell and taking it seriously. So this is a good place to start to have your mental checklist to make sure that you're setting up and everything is exactly the same. And then if there's something different about you specifically, because all lifters are different, then you can start to make some changes and notice like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, maybe it needs to be a little bit wider or more narrow. So we'll start with Ryan, and first thing is bar placement. We all know the difference between a low bar and a high bar squat. We know that generally. Okay, so we'll explain it for a few people who might not know. So right now, Ryan's in a high bar position. Usually, if you're a weightlifter, weightlifters will be in a high bar position. It's more quad dominant. Ryan's a weightlifter, so his bar is right on his traps. And then a lot of powerlifters you'll see will train with the low bar squat or compete with the low bar squat. And there, the barbell's lower, and then the barbell's going to be on his delts, and then just under his traps. So kind of on your the meatiness of your back here, right on your lower traps. So bar placement, there still can be some variation there. One thing that I worked on adjusting was I had my barbell really super low because I was so mobile. I thought that that was good, right? I'm like, oh, I can crank down and I can put the barbell here if I want. Thinking that it would be more optimal. I'm still a low bar squatter, But I ended up putting the barbell a little bit higher than where I was because in my competition, I wasn't getting the squat command because I was pitched like this because the weight was pulling me forward. So getting in the lowest, most uncomfortable position just because you can might not always be the best option. And sometimes we can adjust how low your barbell is, or maybe today what we can look at is if you're a high bar or low bar squatter, we can look at seeing which is best for you. So if anybody has any questions when we're in there and like wants to try low bar or vice versa, we can take a look at that and just let me know that you're trying something new. So next thing is hand position. Like I said, I used to be able to get in this crazy low bar position because I'm pretty mobile. So my hands were super, super close because I thought, oh yeah, I'm super tight. I'm tight here. That wasn't great for me. It was uncomfortable. I started experiencing some wrist and elbow pain. So what I want lifters to do is get into pretty narrow, the most narrow, comfortable position. I don't want you to crank down into something crazy, but you want to keep your hands pretty close together so that you can maintain some upper back tightness. You will see a lot of bigger guys will bring their hands way out. I think for most women and beginners especially, the best position is a comfortable one that helps you maintain some upper back tightness, and then you can keep that barbell on your back by pulling down into it. Keep your lats activated. So next is foot width. Now this will definitely vary from lifter to lifter. It'll also vary if you're high bar versus low bar. I like to bring my feet just outside of shoulder width or hip width. And you know, I think that's a good starting point for a lot of beginner lifters. So you may notice, like as you start working, or if you're squatting in a flat shoe, maybe you're a little wider. And then foot angle will go just 30 degrees out on each foot. And then your elbow position, you really just want your elbows and forearms to be in line with your torso as you're squatting down. If you're squatting in a low bar position, that will look like this. And if you're squatting in high bar, more upright, your elbows will just follow that same pattern. So yeah, that's for the setup. Like I said, the biggest thing is to make sure whatever you're doing, it's consistent so that you know exactly what you can change and what you can work on. If you're not a consistent lifter, then you're just all over the place and there's no frame of reference to really start making some changes. Cool, I think that's good for setup. Now on to execution. This one. he looks like he has a smaller waist than me, but still winning. Okay, so execution. I want to also, in the same line of thought, to like take yourself seriously as you're lifting. You're going to approach the bar and unrack it like it's the heaviest weight you've ever done, no matter how much weight is on the bar. Consistent warm-ups will make you a better lifter. Warm-up reps are still reps, and they're so important. So don't get in the habit of anything crazy just because, oh, it's 135, like who cares? Take it seriously, and while we're in the gym, we're not going to be going crazy heavy. I think maybe we'll try and take a heavy-ish set of like maybe 3 or 5, so I can take a look at your form with a few reps. But when you have the barbell, try to take it seriously when we're in there. So to execute the squat, what Ryan's going to do first is he has his belt on, and he's going to unrack it like it's, for him, he's super strong, so like it's 1,000 pounds. He's going to unrack the bar, set his feet, 2 steps back, square his feet. I like lifters, one of the things that I like to stress is when you unrack the bar, you unrack, take 1 step back, another step back, and then square your feet. There's 3 movements. I don't like, there's people and it's like they're walking away. Don't waste your energy. And you definitely don't want to do that because when you're at a meet, 1, you only have so much space, and 2, those judges are keeping an eye on you and they don't want to see any bullshit, you know? And if you're competing in certain federations, they'll be even more strict. So get in the habit of unwrapping the bar like it's 1,000,000 pounds. Take your 2 steps back and then square yourself. No more than that. A lot of times, if I have a lifter or if I myself hit the rack, oh shit, and then I'm like, oh, I'll just squat it anyway, right? No, put it back in the rack, reset. Take your time, take yourself seriously. Because you deserve it, and like, your squat is strong. Like, you deserve to express your strength as best you can. So Ryan's gonna take his 3 steps and square, beautiful. And then the next thing he's gonna do is he's gonna brace. So does everybody know what bracing is? Yeah, pretty common thing. I'm gonna show you guys how my Thanksgiving brace, which will be impressive. You want to, when I take a big deep breath, I can breathe into my chest or I can breathe into my stomach. Kind of like if you've ever like studied singing, Kat's a singer. You're taught not to breathe into your chest like this, but you want to breathe into your stomach. So this is what you want. I like to call it a power gut. And this is where all your strength comes from. There's no shame in that. So you want to breathe into your stomach so that you maintain some tightness in your spine, in your lower back, and in your upper back. So people will tell you to, I'm telling you to breathe into your stomach, but also when I take that breath, I'm tightening my back too. So you're going to take your power gut, and when Ryan breathes in, if I can fit my finger in there, he's pressing onto this belt. So so he's pressing into this so that everything's tight here. Does everybody train with a belt? Yes. Yeah, so you can also brace without a belt. The belt helps you get some extra tightness. And I like training with a belt. You don't have to.
Do you train with the belt for warm-up sets too?
Yeah, usually when I get, so my squat's around 300. It's approaching 300 right now. So usually when I have like 245 on, I'll start to put the belt on. And it depends on my training. Sometimes I will train beltless. Like right now I have higher volume. I'm in more of a hypertrophy stage because I'm not prepping for a meet at all. So I'm training beltless. I'm trying to train beltless with a lot of things, with squat and deadlift. So yeah, he's gonna,
When you place the belt on, where exactly do you want it sitting?
Good question.
Like your belly button or?
Yeah, so for a lot of us, there's some tall people here, but a lot of powerlifters tend to be pretty short. And this is a 3-4 inch insert. This is a 4-inch insert. So from my hip bone to my ribs, I barely have 4 inches there. So I just put it in between, under my ribs, like in that space. It's really the only space, so where I don't have any bones.
So kind of where you feel like you'll collapse.
And get the big one. Exactly.
A lot of people use their rule of thumb as low as you can put it without catching your hips in the bottom.
Yeah.
But for longer torso people, they can kind of play around with height, put it above.
I'll kind of chime in too with this. So like me personally, like I wear my belt a little higher when I squat, a little lower when I deadlift. I feel like that's just me personally. But like some people like long, like I've seen like George Lehman and stuff. They're like have their belt like.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of something you got to play with. But the main thing is your belt shouldn't. If it's hindering your position, it's probably not in the right spot. It should like help you get in better position. So it's something you have to play with. It's a little bit individual. It's a little bit depends on your body type. Like Meg's body type is different from Ryan's body type. So the belt position is going to be like a little different. And also like one of the reasons I like the prong versus like the lever because like your squat and deadlift's going to be a little different. Your tightness you're going to need a little different tightness, a little bit different spot. Your position's going to be a lot different here versus like in a deep squat. So it's something you got to play with. It's kind of individual. So not that I know it's like it depends. It's not the best answer, but it depends on like.
Yeah. And this is a double prong 10 millimeter. I always tell people, Ryan's like, that's not what the belt is. It's an Inzer brand, 10 millimeter, 4-inch double prong belt. Maybe the double prong is overkill. I think a single prong would be efficient, and my dad got me this belt and I'm happy with it. They tend to be pretty expensive. But yeah, you could get away with a single too, I think that would be.
What's the benefit of training beltless?
Core strength could help you. That's one thing that I'm really focusing on is improving my back strength and core strength, especially in my off season. I think sometimes I get a little lazy with some of those smaller accessories, less specific accessories. So it makes it a little more difficult. It's a good way to overload without adding more weight on the bar. With your programming, there's a lot of different things that you can do to make the lift more challenging without just, we can't always add weight on the bar. That would be great if we could, but sometimes we're just not strong enough, so we need to find more creative ways to program so that you're continuing to progressively overload and get stronger and make things more challenging for you. Any more belt questions? Cool. And if anybody wants to use my belt, you're more than welcome to.
We have a bunch, they feel, in there, people to try on, use for the hands-on.
Cool. Yeah, you're free to use it if you don't have the belt with you. I think, let's take a look. It's challenging, right? Because we're always told to lift and breathe. You're like, oh, breathe. Yes, of course you want to breathe while you're lifting. But powerlifting, the weight's usually a little bit heavier than the average lifter, and we're really reaching to express our strength. So that's why we brace, so that we're safe. So that we're safe and tight, and our spine is protected. We'll take a look at your bracing and see. There's some people who breathe like this, and I'm like, oh, how much air are you getting with this? I go, that was even a more shallow breath than what I usually take. So we can take a look at what you're doing. Maybe you're not getting enough air, or maybe you're doing too many reps. Wouldn't it be great if that was so yeah, I mean, I get a little lightheaded. I think you do adapt to it. You get better at it as you go. If I'm doing like sets of 12, it does start to get a little crazy. And you just get out of breath. Lightheaded might be, we want to look into that a little bit more.
Also, nutrition day of or even intra-workout nutrition can make a difference. If you have like lower blood sugar than you need, that could be impacting you.
Yes, there can be a ton of different factors, but let's definitely look at your bracing and see if we can see how it's going to make sure you get enough air. And like when you're bracing, of course, you want to like fully exhale at the top of the rep. And like exhale, like blow out more out so that you're taking more, you have more room to take more breath in. Yeah, so maybe that's the thing. Kind of like if you were to go swimming, usually you try to exhale all of the air that you have so that you can take a big deep breath in. Yeah. Cool. So yeah.
I just wanted to, you basically just answered it, but when I take my breath, take the 2 steps back, I just went to PR like this last week, right? Usually they say don't let out all the breath just because you start like when you go, you're really tight, and I'm sure so if you let go, you like kind of let go of the tightness right when you're about to go for it. Should I slowly or hold it, or like I'm still working on that?
Yeah, I think we should work on like, make sure I can control my breath and stay in the same position.
Okay, so I just have to
Yeah, because me exhaling isn't me
like
letting go of all my, like when I'm sitting here talking to you, I still have my same posture. I mean, when you put 250 pounds on my back, like it might be a little harder.
Right.
But yeah, you want to, we'll make sure that you're like super tight so that no matter how you breathe out, you're locked in.
Okay.
And that also comes with practice.
Okay.
My squat is so locked in that I'm here, like you could punch me in the face and I'm still going to be here. Don't do that, but like that could come with extra practice.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to breathe
Yeah,
out.
because I'm like thinking, I'm also thinking about a lot of things while I'm there. And it's sort of like a still a mental thing. So
Yeah. And also remember, you're not breathing into your chest, so you're not gonna.
Right.
You're gonna. Like this is me breathing out. This is me breathing in.
Okay.
Not that, but I need to do it with a belt. So yeah, hopefully that helps you. So yeah, let's get it in. So we're unwrapped, we've stepped out, and next thing, pretty obvious, we're gonna break at the knees and hips simultaneously. So obviously your high bar versus low bar position looks a little bit different. Let's see, Ryan. You're gonna break at the knees, and then he's gonna hit depth, and then he's gonna explode up. So he's not gonna slowly go up, he's gonna explode, and then if you can at the bottom, get a little bit of bounce off the hole. That's something that I've been personally working on. And then he's gonna stand fully erect and then finish the rep. That's your squat movement, right? So we spend so much time talking about the preparation of the squat and talking about locking yourself in, making everything exactly the same. That sometimes is more important. Like, sometimes that's something, and a lot of you have questions about like the mental approach to lifting and lifting the barbell. I think dialing that in, dialing your setup in, making everything completely consistent is super important. So yeah, I think we talked about the squat. Let me make sure I don't have any notes. I'm sure like we kind of just glossed over the actual squat movement. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Go ahead.
So I good morning squat pretty badly, and something I've been told is in order to fix that I'm supposed to like throw my elbows forward. I don't see like where the cue is.
So I think that cue, I would cue it is what you probably need to do is keep your chest up a little bit more. They're trying to think, throw your elbows so that you're leading with your traps. A lot of times when people will good morning squat, so what she means is her hips will raise, and then what she needs to do is push her back up. So she's squatting, and yeah, her hips look great, she's squatting, but oh shit, the barbell's down. So what we need to do, and it could be a back strength thing, core strength thing, so what we need to do is make sure that you're squatting, and then as your hips go up, the barbell and your upper body is going up at the same time, right? So we never want those two, the movement to be not fluid. So we want a fluid movement so that we're going up all at the same time. So I think what someone meant by throwing your elbows in is cueing to turn on your lats, which makes sense. Turn on your lats so that your upper back is tight and so that your legs are driving your upper body up too. Because right now what's happening is they're just driving your hips up and not the rest of your body, not the barbell. We can work on that. I think I saw some of your videos. Did you comment on the Instagram post? Yeah, I was watching. If you commented on that, tried to watch some of your Instagram videos.
I've been watching, looking at a lot of fix. I don't think I have it, but I'll like how to fix it and like what to do for mobility and all that. When you were just coming out and exploding, how do you figure out? Because sometimes me and him are like, oh no, stop at 90, or he goes really low without doing it. But how are you, if you did have that issue happen a little bit, like how do you avoid that?
Does everybody know what butt wink is?
Yes.
Yeah? Does anybody not know what it is? Okay. So butt wink is, there's a better term for it, but it's essentially lower back rounding. So what happens is when you have the barbell, when someone squats, what they do instead of saying tight here, they lower back round, and they lose tightness in their lower back. I see it a lot with, maybe not a lot, but when people overshoot depth.
Yeah.
So you have probably really good mobility and back strength, so that you don't do it. But a lot of times when people are, man, let me go ass to grass, they will go so low that they lose tightness because they don't have the mobility or the back strength, and then they butt wink. So it could be it is a bad thing. It's not a strong position, and it could start to be a little bit dangerous. So you want to avoid it at all costs.
I just think a lot of people don't know, like I had no idea where to stop, like when I first started.
Right.
So.
It'll come with practice.
Okay.
Watch videos of yourself. Usually, like, I don't know, you could look down and see that I can see that I'm hitting depth here. We can take a look.
Yeah. It's also like a muscle memory thing. It's
Yeah.
It's when you start to
It's just
learn.
time.
Yeah.
I would just, if anyone's, check your hip range of motion like on the floor. So like, if like Meg would lie down on her back and so you can check your hip flexion, so, you know,
Right,
yeah, just, so can you guys see, like, basically she's in a squat, like, upside down?
Right.
Okay. So like, is she like past, would she get 3 white lights here?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or is her back, like, is her, like, pelvis shifted, like, in her back, is she okay? So the floor's kind of keeping her back, like, pretty neutral, right? So a lot of times, people think I need to stretch, I need to stretch, I need to stretch. It's like not like always a mobility issue. A lot of times it's like a bracing problem, or you're just, like I said, squatting too deep for your structure. So this is a good, like, test you can kind of see, you can kind of, like, flip the photo, like, you know, kind of, just so check your mobility. This is a good way to do it. You know, real simple test, anyone could do. And then, you know, like I said, just video yourself from the side and stop yourself. Try to, like, train yourself to stop at a depth where you're gonna get white lights and you're keeping a good position. So squat as low as you can with good position. And if you're breaking parallel, you're hitting good depth, then that's fine. I think people sometimes think lower is better, but good. So quality over quantity.
Yeah, I've also heard for like the butt wing that if you squeeze your glutes before you go down, it helps because some people stick their butt out.
A lot of people are,
in general.
a lot of people are hyper conscious of their butt wing, and they'll start by trying to, like, in an anterior pelvic tilt, and the only place to go from here is front wing. And it's more important to be stacked, be tight, activate your core, and then begin your descent.
Yeah. And one thing with that is you do want to maintain some tension in your entire lower body. So I'm not just falling down and like dropping it like right? I'm very deliberate and like I'm keeping everything tight and maintaining tension in my quads, in my glutes, in my hamstrings. So that is a controlled descent. We're never dropping down into depth. We're never like, oh, let me hit depth and then I do squat, right? So yeah.
And also, because you guys train together, it's a really good chance to hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about video, but it's even better if you can have someone
Right.
in your setting that just,
Yeah.
you know, keep you on.
Yeah. And if you really have no clue, you could maybe find a box that's right at depth, and while you're warming up, just you know, take 3 sets of 10. But, oh, okay, this is depth. Don't sit on the box, but just feel it and then up. Cool.
We should.
Yeah.
I know we're at a Megs squat seminar, but Omar actually posted a video about butt wink yesterday. It
Yeah.
was actually a really good video.
Oh, cool. I'll have
If
to
people
watch
want to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chad Wesley Smith has a ton of great articles on that. Yeah.